What's good, everybody? Thank you for stopping by to visit the channel for this upcoming bowl game preview. If you want to stay updated in the world of college football, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and make sure you select all so you won't miss another video. We're heading to the Sugar Bowl for the annual matchup between the SEC and the Big 12, where the Georgia Bulldogs square off against the resurgent Baylor Bears. Both teams lost in their respective conference championship games and are looking to end their season on a high note. Let's review the season resumes of the two teams. Georgia has the second best opponent F+ rating among the New Year's 6 teams. The Georgia Bulldogs face 9 teams ranked in the top 50 and went 7-2. Honestly, they should have gone 8-1 if not for an inexplicable loss to South Carolina. The Bulldogs also face the second best opponent defensive SP+ schedule among all the New Year's 6 teams, with 9 teams ranked in the top 40, and 7 of those teams are currently ranked in the top 25 of defensive SP+. If there are any questions as to why the offense didn't meet expectations, it wasn't just the injuries. Part of that was they played defenses with a pulse. The Baylor defenses that show up on Georgia's schedule are Notre Dame's adjusted rush defense and Florida's pass defense. The Irish held the Bulldogs to 152 yards rushing on 4.6 yards per carry, which is below their season average. The Florida pass defense is not something that Baylor fans want to see, as the Bulldogs threw for 279 yards on 9.3 yards per attempt. It should be noted, however, that Georgia was at full strength at the wide receiver position. Now, Auburn's adjusted rush offense and Missouri's pass offense closely resembles Baylor on the advanced metrics. Both teams didn't fare too well against Georgia's defense, and if we're being honest, LSU was the only team on Georgia's schedule that did. The Georgia rush defense held Auburn to 84 yards on the ground, and they held Missouri to 148 yards passing, shutting them out for the game. I'm going to have to keep it objective here. Matt Rule, if I'm being honest, is my coach of the year. Baylor was an absolute mess of a program when he took the job, and he turned them around from 1-11 to 7-6 to now 11-2. The Bears had 5 wins against the F+ top 50, and it could have been 6 if not for a meltdown against Oklahoma in the regular season. And you can make the argument that they had multiple chances of beating Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. The offensive slate was tough for Baylor, as they faced 5 teams ranked in the top 50 of offensive SP+, but unfortunately, they faced the worst slate of defenses among the teams in the New Year's 6. Oklahoma State's offense shows up here, but the rushing offense is not a fair comparison, and it is a few notches below Georgia. But Chuba Hubbard ran for 171 yards on 32 carries against that Baylor defense, and the team ran for 281 yards. Now, the passing offense doesn't bode too well for Georgia, as the Baylor defense held Oklahoma State to 188 yards passing at 5.2 yards per attempt. Now, for the defenses, Rice's rush defense shows up, since it is the highest ranked adjusted rush defense the Baylor offense faced this year. But to be honest, Rice's rush defense might be fantastic on another earth, but not this one. So it is a tenuous comparison since Georgia is second in that metric. But if you want to know, Rice held Baylor to 124 yards rushing. Now, the passing game is a little rosy for Baylor for a total yard standpoint, but not if you're talking about yards per pass attempt. Charlie Brewer threw for 307 yards against Iowa State, but he had to earn every single yard, as he threw for 6.8 yards per pass attempt in that game and completed less than 60% of his passes. As we review the advanced analytics, we come to find out that they really like both teams. This is a top 15 matchup in both SP+ and F+, but as we look closer, this looks like this will be a defensive battle, as both defensive units are ranked significantly higher than their offensive counterparts. Vegas has the Bulldogs favored by 6, and Bill Connelly's SP+ rating has the Bulldogs favored by close to 8 points with a 68% win probability. There are a lot of unknowns about the Georgia offense this year. Teams have loaded the box on them and forced Jake Fromm to make throws in tight man-to-man coverage. When the Bulldogs were healthy at wide receiver, they were able to get separation, but the injuries started to mount, and they had to rely on young players sooner than anticipated. This Baylor defense is not a bunch of scrubs. They are physical at the point of attack, and they fly to the ball to make plays. They are second in the country in defensive explosiveness, so it's tough to get the big play on these guys. Now, speaking of the point of attack, Georgia's powerful offensive line could be without 3 starters, as Andrew Thomas, Isaiah Wilson, and Ben Cleveland are out for this game. Cleveland is having academic issues, but the other 2 have declared for the NFL draft. Sheesh. A lot of Georgia red here, and with good reason. This Georgia defense is tough. I don't see them having any players sitting out on the defensive side of the ball, unlike last year. Now, if they are fully loaded, Baylor is going to have a tough time running the ball on this defense, period. The Bulldogs allowed 65% of their opponents' rush averages for the year, and they have allowed 37% of their opponents' carries to gain at least 4 yards, which is second in the country. My main concern about the Baylor offense is the health of Charlie Brewer. He is a big part of their offense, and if they must play Gary Bohannon, then that is right up the Bulldogs' wheelhouse, as they have been fortunate to play backup quarterbacks for the majority of their season. Now, in the keys of the game, for Georgia, they cannot give up free points on offense. Georgia gave up some freebies against Texas last year, and they didn't make them work for their points. Georgia's defense is 12th in adjusted defense success rate, so when they are on their assignment, they make you earn every single yard. For Baylor, if you can turn defense and special teams into offense, go for it. Now, I'm not saying Baylor doesn't have a shot against Georgia's defense, but if you can score points and not have to rely on your offense to do so, you'll take that chance. Also on offense, I wouldn't be surprised to see a trick play or two to try to catch Georgia off guard. The computer model has the Bulldogs winning this game by a score of 21-14. For the year, the Bulldogs scored 114% above their opponent's scoring average and allowed 44% of their opponent's scoring average. The Bears hold the same offensive efficiency as the Bulldogs, but they have also allowed 66% of their opponent's usual scoring average. There are a lot of unknowns in this game. We don't know if Baylor is going to be at full strength at the quarterback position, and we don't know how Georgia is going to handle having 3 starters on the offensive line out for the game. I do remember Georgia rotating players in early in the year, but missing 2 of your offensive tackles and an experienced player in the trenches is tough enough for any team to overcome against a solid unit. I think this is going to be an old school snot bubble battle between these 2 teams. Against my better judgment, I'm picking Georgia to win this one, and I don't have a whole lot of faith in the pick because I can see Baylor winning this game because I don't have a ton of confidence in their offense. I think it's going to be more about the Georgia defense that gets it done. I got Georgia winning this one to the score of 21-17. And this is where I sign off on this game preview. Let me know what your thoughts are in the game in the comment section below. Give me your score prediction and also tell me why your respective team is going to win the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. All I ask is that you give the video a like, and if you love college football as much as I do, hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated with the latest previews and the occasional highlights. Thank you again for watching, and thank you for visiting the channel.